When you get to the point where you can't learn or be a student, you lost. Because we're gonna be students until the end of time, because technology is advancing every so many months.
Not all oils are for cooking. You want to use a high heat oil, like a coconut oil or an avocado oil or even a grapeseed oil. Those are all high heat oils. If your oil starts to smoke, it has immediately become a trans fat and you should discard immediately. So if you use a low smoke point oil like an olive oil, it's going to burn. Welcome to the Informed Choice Podcast, where natural healing meets practical truth. I'm Eni, the Naija Goddess, and this is where we simplify holistic wellness so you can stop guessing and start healing. My guest today is Gary Gray, affectionately known as Wood, the visionary behind Third Phase Body Oils, a Charlotte institution that has been serving the community for more than 2 decades. Since opening its doors in 1999, Third Phase has grown from a small fragrance counter into a powerhouse with both Graham Street retail store and a wholesale showroom on 24th Street in Charlotte. The catalog is massive, with more than 1,000 varieties of designer-inspired oils, along with raw butters, soaps, sea moss, bitters, tonics, and essential oils. Third Phase has become a one-stop shop for customers, resellers, and a hub where access, variety, and affordability meet. Wood is known not only for his business acumen, but also for his mentorship. Many entrepreneurs in Charlotte credit him with the practical guidance and inspiration. His hustle and longevity have helped shape a durable local institution, one that stands both as a cultural marker and a wellness resource. Today, we are going to explore his bold vision for transforming his 24th Street warehouse into a full-scale wellness hub and what it means to design space and deliver wellness in a way that impacts our entire community. So with that, let's welcome Wood to the show. Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, Lee?
I'm so glad you're here.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell us the backstory. How did you come to even want to start a wellness powerhouse, this megalith that you have now? What was the impetus of all that?
Well, right before COVID, I say a little bit before COVID, we started selling the black seed oil. And
I'm talking about from 1999.
oh, you talking about the whole time?
Yeah.
Well, really just trying to change my life. I really was kind of directed that way. It wasn't like I was just looking for it. I just say the higher being directed me that way to save me. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
I just ran into the right people. I met a brother out of Raleigh, North Carolina at a show. We were dating at the time, but my wife, Kariba, we went to a show and met him, and I saw it, and I didn't know anything about branding, nothing. I didn't know anything. And his company is Gensa Products.
Okay.
And he was just talking, mild-mannered, laid back, and he just told me, he was like, before I started this brand, and he just went to talk, and I caught it. I was like, because I thought he was just working. He was an employee or something. He was like, nah, this is me. And when he said it, it was just amazing. You know, it just inspired me. You know what I mean? That's really what it was. You know, it was another brother.
He's in the same industry as you are?
Right now, his son just took over his company. He's retired, and his son took over his company. So that's how long it's been. You know, it was just a blessing when I met him. You know, it was just inspirational, I would say.
And so when you had that interaction, there was some type of intervention where it's like, I should probably do the same thing or follow in his footsteps?
Well, we were selling clothes,
Initially.
but then we started selling the body oils.
Okay.
And numbers has always been my strength. So body oils is so versatile, you know, burning oils, essential oils. You use the oils for the incense, the air freshness. And it was just so challenging, but I loved it. And then when I met him, it just seemed that much closer because I saw an older gentleman doing well. And, you know, a lot of times we don't get that in our community, you know what I mean? But it was just inspirational. And when I started doing it, we stayed in contact. We did a lot of business. And along, you know, it was just so impressive. And at first it was just really like trial and error. But then as we started making motion, you know, we were selling urban clothes. And then when that kind of faded out, but I just had a love for that, you know what I mean? So we just kept going and kept pushing.
So when you phased out the clothing, you focus more on oils,
Yeah.
how did the organic, like herbal compounds and stuff start to come into play in the shea butters and things? How did you get your full product lineup today?
Well, when it came in, the black seed came in, and of course, the shea butter was already down through the soaps and all of that. It's like a whole different world in our realm. You know what I mean? And when it came in, everything kind of fell in. The customers pretty much tell you what to look for, because they come in and start asking. I always make a habit of, and a mental note, if somebody come in and they ask for something, you keep a note of it. Once you start hearing something enough, it's time to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's time to do something. So that's pretty much it. And then they start telling you, because your customers is who gonna really take care of you.
Right.
So you do what you got to do to make sure you take care of them.
So when you started this brand, what made you name it Third Phase Body Oils and choose the lion?
Third phase is, in a short version, is work, hustle, entrepreneurship. You
Okay.
know, so that's the shorter version of it. So that made it like the third phase of my life.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that was the closeout. And the lion, to most people that know that come with what we come from, the lion is not the most feared, but he's the most respected. So anything that you do, you put yourself in a position to be well respected. You don't have to be feared, as long as you well respected, it'll take care of itself.
I like that word.
You know.
That's awesome. So with the two spaces you have, so you have a retail space that's on Graham Street that is a staple. Even when I moved to Charlotte, that mean the building stands out.
Yeah.
And then you have the very large warehouse that houses everything. So you have a business to business model with the warehouse on 24th Street, and you have a business to customer model, the retail space on Graham Street. And both buildings are very unique looking. They're very bold with the colors and everything. Was that intentional? What was your thought process and how the building looks and how the layout is?
It's me and a young lady just spoke about this yesterday, and she asked me that. But we have a third location too. We have a third
Oh.
location up near Greensboro, wholesale location.
You did
And
tell
so,
me that.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
But the colors was, at first the building was like blue and white. Me and a lady, she did
Which
signs,
building? The
the
retail?
one on Graham.
Okay.
And she asked me one day, and she was just like, do you want your building to look good, or do you want it to be recognized and seen? And she explained the colors. She broke down the colors because she did signs, and she talked about the red. She explained some of the big franchises like McDonald's, Wendy's, and all of them, why they use those colors. And with me, I wanted to be a bold statement. Most of us is the red, black, and the green represent us. And I said, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. So I called an artist, Abel Jackson. I called him to bring in the lions. I called in a professional painter to come do the three colors, but I wanted to throw a color in there to break it, to make it pop. So that's when I threw the bright yellow in, like the safety yellow in, just to bring it in. And I studied it. I went and sat in front of the building when it was blue and white, and I watched the traffic go down Graham Street, and people would just be like this, just riding straight. And I just kept that in my head. So once we transitioned to the colors, as they was doing the colors, I would park in the front and watch the traffic, and almost everybody would do this.
It's a head turner.
So I said,
Yeah.
that's what it is. And we just kept going in, and I wanted to just make sure it's a bold statement that it's really us. That runs even with the warehouse. The warehouse, we had a customer that told us, I never thought that we would have a warehouse. But a customer told me years ago, she said, Wood, y'all go too hard. You're going to end up with a warehouse. And she came when we first got the warehouse and cried because she saw it before we did. But I did it solely because if in most businesses, if you go into a warehouse, it's not owned by us.
It's true.
So I really wanted to make this statement to us that we can accomplish this too. So the next person that follows us could maybe own several warehouses, but I wanted to make the statement that it was possible for us to own it, not rent it, not lease it. I wanted our company name
that
to
dirt.
own it. Yeah, so that was very important to me. That was a personal challenge to me. It was a tough fight, but it made it well worth it.
How many square feet is the warehouse?
15,300 square feet.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a legacy for your family, for your son.
Yeah, yeah, it's very important. I want him to know that's why. You know what I mean? That's why we did it. You know what I mean? Whatever you choose to do after that, I can't make that call because I may not be here, but I want somebody to get something from it. You know what I mean? Because like Pop used to say, I want to spark the next person. If I don't do nothing, at least I could spark the next person to say, because that's how the brother sparked me when I met him.
Right.
He passed it to me, and it was just very impressive to me. It was impressive. And I tell him all the time, he said, man, most people wouldn't say this. I said, man, I tell the world that. You know what I mean? I'll just tell you,
That is beautiful. Well, when you imagine this finished space, because I understand you're in the wellness hub that you're creating on the main warehouse, you're going to have a retail space there, more like a backup space, so it can potentially be like a one-stop shop. How do you envision that space looking and feeling? How do you feel like people will feel and connect with that space when they go there?
well, even the customers that comes there now, they always say to us, my motto is you treat your customer like your favorite family member. And that's lasting, you know what I mean? So a lot of people that come and shop there, they say it feels great because we all speak the same language. You know what I mean? It don't have to be verbal. It's just a different body language that we carry. You know what I mean? And I want it to be welcoming when you come in because you investing into this just as well as we're investing into you. It's not a one-sided thing. You know what I mean? Without the customers, we can't grow.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can have the best products in the world, but if you don't have a customer base, what do you really have?
You don't have a business.
That's my point. So,
You definitely don't have a business. Okay, so what challenges have come with growing wholesale and retail at the same time? Because I'm sure it presents unique challenges.
to be honest, it's not.
So selling B2B and B2C have been the
Well,
same?
well, it's a struggle, I guess, to convince people because we don't have the same faith in us like we do others, I would say. That's the basic challenge. But to me, I take it as being easy to help people. That's not really hard. The hardest part is them accepting it from who it's coming from. Because I'm for you, I want you to win.
Yeah.
That's how we move. So that's pretty much really the hardest part. Because your past is really your makeup. You know what I mean? The past was the hard part. It's kind of easy.
I like
say
that.
something like that.
No, I like that. Do you believe in today's wellness culture that owning and controlling your own space is best? And if so, why? Or do you think, in terms of how it appears to the customer base, do you think that makes a difference?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You definitely need a foundation. Your business is like your family. Your family don't need to be going from apartment to apartment. You need to have a house where everybody's coming to and they know it, and you got a choice in the matter of moving. You know what I mean? If somebody comes through and you only renting or leasing and somebody come through and they got another idea, then you got to uproot and move. And then, you just lose so much along the way. Opposed to you, if anything, if you got foundation and eventually you could put another location somewhere else and start moving that way. But you got to get a solid foundation,
Yes.
to build from there. If your foundation not solid and you constantly moving, it's going to stunt your growth some kind of way.
It does. How long did it take for you to establish a solid foundation, in your opinion?
A lot of that is mostly mental. You know,
Break that down.
when you mature, you start seeing things different. You talking to other people, you meeting other people who's planted their feet somewhere and started doing things. That's why I always stress to everybody, as much as they try to convince us to hate each other, we need each other. So, you know, if like when I came in today, your husband giving me advice on things I didn't know. You know what I mean? You got to be able to humbly receive that. You know, you keep shutting off people that's just openly giving it to you, that makes your fight that much harder. You know, somebody could give you 10 minutes of information, could save you years of struggle.
It's very true.
Opposed to you just jumping the gun, I want to do it my way. Nah, it's people that's did it before you.
My first music professor always told me, imitate before you innovate.
Yeah.
So that's what he always said, because I was like, I want to play it like this. And he's like, there's a reason why they're doing it like this. So imitate first, learn the real way, and then you can improvise on that. But don't just come out there just doing your own thing without having that foundation of understanding. So I always keep that in my head, imitate before you innovate.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason why it's been done a certain way for a certain period of time. You have to understand that, have that fundamental understanding first, and then make it your own.
Well, the old school version of that is you can't, why try and reinvent the wheel? The wheel is here. You know what I mean? You got to make it make sense. Why jump out there and somebody's done it before you? Watch it, learn it, duplicate it, imitate it, then add your spin to it, which makes it different.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's where branding and everything comes into play. That's your little twist with it, but you still got the basics in. You know what I mean? That's why everybody needs a coach. When you get to the point where you can't learn or be a student, you lost. Because we're going to be students until the end of time, because technology is advancing every so many months. So we can't know what's going to go on in 2026.
Right.
So when it changes, if we can't take it in, somebody's there to teach you and show you. You take it in. I always say, take it in, eat the fish, spit out the bones. Whatever ain't good for you, you get rid of it.
Vegan fish.
Yeah. Respect.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So, yeah, but that's why, and that's what we have to get to. We got to get back to taking it in from everybody. It's going to always, the village is always going to mean something. You know what I mean? You can't learn everything on your own,
Yeah, so to add on to what you're saying, you can't pour into a full cup. And that's always the thing. So, and I see that a lot of the youth today, because a lot of information for them is so instantaneous. They feel like they don't have to know anything, because if they want to, they can just, before just Google it, now they can chat GPT it. Everything's so instantaneous. So they don't have to know anything. And so they feel like they know everything. And they don't feel like they have to go through the trenches and actually learn the why of something. And that's why I always tell them, I can't pour into your cup if you're already full. You have to leave space to grow and to learn and to evolve. But if you already feel like your cup is full, I can't do anything with you.
Can't hold nothing.
Right.
Can't receive nothing. It's just, and that's what and it's tough for them, because I call it the noise, because they got so many things that's available for them. You can't really function on, because this is pulling this way, this is pulling this way, this is pulling this way. And it's putting knowledge in you. And it's really, you just really taking it in. You didn't have to work to get the knowledge. So,
That's right.
that makes it that much more complicated when they telling you and then they just repeating what this is it. They didn't have no experience of it or nothing,
No practical application.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all theoretical.
We just got to make it work to where we can mesh and make it come together. You know what I mean? Like now, we working a lot on our social media and improving our websites and all of that, because all of ours always been like guerrilla marketing and all of that. So now,
Getting more at the times with how to market today.
yeah. So you gotta be humble at all times to take it in. I would rather pass the ball to somebody who love what they're doing. If your husband builds, I pretty much ain't gonna say nothing because that ain't what I do. You know what I mean? I sell products.
Right.
That's what I do. We wholesale and we retail. I stick to that. I don't debate with nobody about what they got going on. I'm gonna just soak it up. Tell me. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna talk to you about the health part, the food part. That's what you do. And we got to get to the point to where we respect everybody's lane.
Yeah.
You know, and you could get so much from it because I could use something that you use in something that we do. It don't just have to be about that part. You know what I mean? I could just use a part of your system. You could use a part of mine, and we could just build from there.
Absolutely.
So, you know.
I like that vision. I like that thought. Well, speaking of your products, I believe you've highlighted some of your top selling products that you sell retail and wholesale. So would you like to discuss what you brought here today?
Well, this is where we started. We started at the oils. That was our bread and butter, you know, but that's more so of a want. We bought in also the soaps and the shea butter. So those are like, I call those the wants. So that makes it a little bit more difficult when times get tough.
You're
But
saying so, like in a COVID time, people are not going to spend their money to get items that they don't need.
yeah, necessity. So that's where it kind of helped our businesses grow because when the health products came in, that's a necessity.
Right.
You know, and when COVID came through, people really left. They really died from it. So it made us more focused on our health and well, because we can't do nothing if we're not here. So when they come in, you know, we have companies that come in and I'll take them to the retail store and we'll sit there and I show them on, people will come in and buy the oils, but they gonna buy sea moss capsules, the multivitamin capsules, black seed oil, a sea moss bitter, blood pressure bitter, diabetes bitter. They gonna buy so much of whatever they targeting. It could be turmeric or ginger. You know, people, according to the customer, it could be 20% wants and 80% necessity. You know, so most of the time I try to show them hands on. I let them go sit there and they maybe sit there for like an hour and just watch the customer base.
Okay.
You know, if you watch the customer base, that's everywhere. Everybody doing the same thing. So I think hands-on watching, you learn and you take it in and then you just apply that. There's no need you trying to fight against something that's working.
Yeah, so you're
You
very
know?
observant.
Yeah, because you know, we had to do that younger. You know, I may look a little young, but I'm not young. You know what I mean? So we had to do that, you know, and knowledge, we couldn't punch a phone. We had to go into a dictionary with no pictures, you know. So that made it that, you know, boring and everything. So
Pictures.
yeah, no pictures, no nothing. So, you know, you had to pay attention to everything. You just observe and, you know, and you have to take advantage of your strengths. Some people they could retain information a different way. You know, I come from an era where I watched. I seen it on both sides. You know what I mean? When I learned wrong, my father said he wished he would have never took me some places because I learned just from watching. You know what I mean? So anything that's just your strength. You know, you could just take the wrong route and do the wrong thing with it. But as I got older and learned and matured, I do it to an advantage that's going to help. You know what I mean? And I just enjoy helping people who didn't know business. And, you know, a lot of stuff I had to learn, get it from the mud and figure it out. But to pass it on and you see somebody do something with it and grow, that's a greater feeling than you just destroying somebody. If you putting the wrong thing in their hand and getting locked up or dying and, you know, all of that, that means you a part of that. See, this right here, you helping. People coming in saying, man, this helping me with my health. So you putting life in people opposed to taking life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So with that, what What do you think herbs and natural remedies, how do they play a role in creating long-term wellness for the community?
A lot, because a lot of that was there, but we wasn't going reading and looking for it. You know, a lot of information that started getting out there that came a lot more positive with the internet and YouTube and all of that. You start hearing enough of it, you're gonna pay attention to it, especially if you start getting sick and dealing with certain things. So, excuse me, the information started getting out there, so it started playing a role in your life, and you can't avoid it because if you involved with somebody else know about it.
Right.
And once people start talking about it, you start making yourself aware. You know, you may, unfortunately, a lot of us may do it after we get sick or something.
That's what happens to a lot of people. They get
Yeah.
that wake-up call where they have to do something.
Yeah. So that's major.
What's the bigger picture of wellness you hope to deliver over the next 5 years?
Just for us to collab and grow as a community to know, because the more people know, everybody benefits. Because we can't service all the customers. But if we pick up a customer that open up a location on the south side, the east side, or the west side, or north side, you know, and then other cities and other towns, and they just lock into it and grow mentally, I would say. Because if you grow mentally, then you could grow. You know, everything is just not microwave.
Huh.
You know, it's not microwave, so it don't happen overnight.
I like that.
It don't happen overnight.
Well, if you could leave the audience with one principle about creating wellness spaces, what would that be?
Patience,
Mm, explain that.
patience, because if you cooking good food, you can't do that in 2 minutes.
No.
So just take your time, put you a plan together, communicate, seek advice, even if you have to pay for it. You know, just to avoid the curve. Just it's people out here. It don't have to be a mental thing. This is for your growth. You got to be able to invest in you. You know, free is not always free.
Free is not always free.
So just patience and build something. You know, it's been a long 26 years for us. You know what I mean? But it's been beautiful. You know what I mean? Bunch of bumps and bruises, but that makes it that much worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just get patient and stop looking for overnight. If you get it overnight, that's lottery. You're gonna throw it away. So just be patient and build something on solid ground. That's the best way.
Where can people connect with you online and in person? What's the best way for them to reach out and um, be a part of your services that you offer?
Thirdphasebodyoils.com.
Thirdphasebodyoils.com.
Yeah.
That's a 3RD.
Yeah. PHAZE body BODYOILS.com.
Oh, oils.
Yeah.
Okay, plural.
Yeah. And you know, just in the third phase body oils at Gmail. You can email me directly. If you're interested in trying to become a wholesaler, just reach out and talk to us. We'll just go from there, you know.
That's awesome. And they can also visit you in Charlotte in 2 locations, in Greensboro, another
What
location.
whereas in Lexington. But that's just for wholesalers alone there.
Okay.
But just going with it, it could just crawl before you walk, you
Yeah.
know, just and then you could just build from there. But we right here in Charlotte, you know, you can reach us. We right off of Graham Street, come through. Can't miss us.
Cannot miss it.
Can't miss us. So yeah, they can reach us on that.
It's
Yeah.
been a pleasure having you on the show today. I think we may have worked up a little bit of an appetite. Are you ready for the cooking segment?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Okay. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome to the cooking segment. Today's dish, we're doing a stuffed sweet potato with chorizo and beans. You can either do chickpeas or black beans, and with a lime crema. So we have our slow burning starch, which is the sweet potato. We have our healthy fat, which is the lime crema, because I did that with cashews. And then we have our protein sources of the chorizo and the beans. So this is kind of the one pot creation again. So I have my pot heating up, I'm gonna start by sauteing our aromatics. I start off by putting in 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. And like I always say, I only use oil to saute aromatics if I'm going to bloom spices. And we have some spices that we're going to bloom in just a second, because you have to have a fat to bloom spices. Because the volatile oils are fat soluble. So when you have that smell, when you can smell those spices, that's in a fat, not in a water. Otherwise, I would just water saute the garlic and onions where there's so much water inside of an onion, you don't need to add oil. And always remember, oil is very calorically dense. 1 little tablespoon is 120 calories. So you can eat a really healthy dish, but if you keep pouring oil, you've added 8,000 calories.
Wow.
It's not even accounted for. And most people start off by just pouring oil. So I'm not saying don't use oil. I'm saying be intentional. So that's why I started with just the 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. Also, when it comes to oil, be very mindful of what type of cooking oil you're using, because not all oils are for cooking. You want to use a high heat oil, like a coconut oil or an avocado oil or even a grapeseed oil. Those are all high heat oils. And why is that so important? Do you have any idea, Wood? Why that's so important?
I have no clue. I'm learning. I'm the student here. I'm listening.
Well, it's important because if your oil starts to smoke, it has immediately become a trans fat and you should discard immediately. So if you use a low smoke point oil like an olive oil, it's going to burn. And once it burns, once you see smoke come off it, it's a trans fat, discarded. Olive oil should actually really be a finishing oil. It actually should be, it's a low heat oil or a non-heat oil. You spend all that money for olive oil, it should taste like olives and it should be green like an olive. So if it only costs you $2 in a plastic bottle, it's been cut with something else. It's not pure olive oil. We want all those healthy compounds that you hear about, but you need that in that extra virgin olive oil. So if you use that, that's why it's great on salads or salad dressings to do that. All right, so now my onions and garlic have become translucent. And so now I'm going to go ahead and bloom these spices. So I have here some smoked paprika, some cumin, and some chili powder.
Okay.
And this is going to emphasize the chorizo. Now, chorizo, I can make it myself using beans, or I like to use defatted beans. So like a bean curl, and use that for the texture for the chorizo. Or in your freezer section or refrigerator section in most grocery stores, you can buy the animal-free chorizo.
Okay.
So hopefully, so now you should be able to smell those spices, Wood.
Oh yeah.
Because it's being bloomed in the fat. Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so now that I can smell it and it's active, I'm going to take my chorizo here. I'm going to fold this in. And I'm going to fold in our other protein source, which are today black beans. Like I said, you can also use with chickpeas or cannellini beans, whatever bean you like. So we're going to let these basically just warm up and just get friendly together in the pot.
So you get friendly?
Just get friendly, make friends.
Okay.
Always want to put good energy to the food. That's always the top ingredient in any dish I prepare, because it is an energy transfer, because we're eating living things. That is looking and smelling good. And this is what we're going to stuff our sweet potato with. And that's pretty much done. The only thing I'm missing is our herbal spotlight for today, which is oregano.
Boy, they want that too.
Huh?
Everybody talk about oregano.
Oregano. So powerful. So we always talk about how so many things in your pantry or in your refrigerator are actually medicinal. And you just have to understand the qualities that it has. So oregano is far more than just a piece of herb. It's not just for pizza or pasta. It contains amazing compounds that fight bacteria, viruses, and fungus. Thymol, one of the compounds in it, is a natural expectorant which helps to release mucus. When you take oregano and you concentrate it into an oil, it fights colds, it helps with indigestion, it eases digestion, it helps you digest your fats better and produce more bile. It's a very, very potent herb that just gets reduced to something you put into a sauce. So you always want to be intentional with it. The fresh version is more potent than the dry version. So I'm going to put about a teaspoon of oregano in here. And when you eat this, especially if you're a person that doesn't eat a lot of fiber or a lot of beans, the oregano in here will help ease any kind of bloating or gas. It's something you want to be mindful of when you cook with, especially fresh, because a little goes a long way. It can be overpowering very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can. It also supports circulation. So it's good for your cardiovascular system, your respiratory system, and your immune system. It is a very potent herb. And I believe, don't you sell oregano oil?
We can't get it. We've been
can't.
trying to find a distributor for it. We got it sold out, and it's just
bet
trying
it
to
did
find a
sell out.
consistent one for it. Yeah.
So for oregano, if you can't get the oil from wood yet,
Yeah.
you can sip it as a tea. You can have it in food, medicinally, as you see here, or you can just cook with it. It's something you can implement. You can chew on it. And also, I like to infuse my water with it. So I always tell people to drink structured water. Don't just drink plain water. Add fruit or herbs or even veggies to your water. Let it sit overnight, and it's going to structure the water. And it's going to help you hydrate longer. So if you're a person that drinks a lot of fluid and you immediately have to go pee, that's not intracellular. You're not becoming very hydrated. So putting something like a sprig of oregano in your water bottle, let it sit overnight, you're going to get all those compounds and benefits that I've spoken of earlier, but then also it'll taste really great and you'll be far more hydrated for far longer. All right, so that wraps our herbal spotlight. So now I feel good about this. Let me just taste real quick for seasoning. I think that's pretty good. I think I like that. Hopefully Wood will. Now, normally, you all know by this point, I like to add spice to things, but I'm always conscious of my friends. I'm not trying to blow their palates out. So it's only a quarter teaspoon of cayenne just for something,
Yeah.
some kind of oomph.
That cayenne pepper ain't nothing to play with, buddy. That's for real.
Okay. So, and as I always say as well, we always want to add a fresh element to anything that we cook. So on the side here, I have a salad I made for Wood. I know he likes it saucy. I made it nice and saucy for you. And then I'm going to take one of these sweet potatoes here, cut it. And this is done part of our meal prep. So if you have the Nourished by Naija book where I teach you how to prep for your week so that it fits your life and feeds your health, this is something you have already had prepped, so you don't have to worry about, oh, well, now I have to wait 45 minutes for sweet potatoes to bake. You already had them in the fridge. So I just pulled these out from being prepped. And you can portion these out really well too, because you can just do half of a sweet potato and you can take it as a lunch instead of eating as a full meal by itself. So it's very versatile. All right, so now I'm going to stuff our sweet potato. And I'm going to put some cilantro on top for some added freshness. What you think, Wood?
Hey, I'm going to see what it's like.
We're going to get his
Yeah.
honest opinion,
Oh, yeah.
and he'll keep it real with us.
You already know.
Now, the other part we're missing is our healthy fat. So this is something I made because I know he likes things saucy. So I made this crema. So sometimes people put like a sour cream. We don't want the dairy and all the inflammation that comes with that. So here it's just a half cup of cashews, 2 cloves of garlic, the juice of 1 lime, and a pinch of salt, and like maybe a tablespoon or 2 of water. The full recipe for everything will be in the show notes. So I'm going to put this on top to add some brightness to it because I know he likes things saucy. And this is also our source of whole fat for the recipe. So I put this on this plate for you. And then here's your salad too. Because if you always gotta have something green when you eat something, y'all.
You know it.
All right, so now it's the big reveal. Let's see what he thinks.
And I never had it.
Right. I just made it up.
For real?
I
Yeah.
make all the stuff on the spot. People can't hear you.
And you meal prep this?
I
You do
just
this
make
sometimes?
the sweet potatoes. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. That's different. I'm a finicky eater too.
You said it's different. What does different mean?
It's just different. Has a great taste to it.
What's different for you? Have you ever had chorizo before?
Never.
Okay, so that's probably the different that you're tasting. The balance of sweet and smoky. A
Good.
little bit of tang from the crema.
It's good. We on camera. I'm not gonna eat with my hands.
Well, since this is also a podcast and people aren't just watching, just give them a little bit of what you're experiencing in your mouth, what it feels like to you, and is this something you would eat again?
Yeah, definite. And you already know it's fulfilling, and that's the key. You wanna eat to live now. You don't want to live to eat. So
But you want to eat to live and it still be delicious.
yeah, and it's good.
What flavors are you tasting?
Everything is blended. Nothing's overwhelming. Nothing. That's different.
Balance?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to give the salad a try. This is one of my famous.
Now you know I eat salad. You already know.
Yeah, I normally do it on kale, but they didn't have organic kale in the grocery store. So this is organic spring mix with a garlic vinaigrette and some dried blueberries. It's a little bit wilted because I made it about 2 hours ago.
That's all right. Good.
Okay, so before we close out, we always end with rapid fire questions so that the audience can get to know you a little bit better. So, what's the first herb or remedy you reach for in your own kitchen or home?
The remedy is black seed oil.
Black
seed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
Why?
Because when I did the research on that was for everything.
Yes.
And taking that almost brought me all the way through COVID. But I made the ultimate mistake of not resting. So I couldn't protect my immune system by not resting. But
right.
Well.
Okay, that's excellent. One daily ritual you cannot skip.
The most ritual, without saying being too spiritual, is being grateful that you woke up. That's if you don't wake you up, it's over with.
Yeah.
So that's the most important one.
I love that. Okay. Favorite part of transforming the warehouse so far?
The favorite part, I guess, because I used to draw, just creating a space for the customers to come in and get the wow effect when they walk in. Did you get that?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One thing you've learned about yourself during this expansion and growth?
Well, through difficulty, it just sharpens you. When you run across something that's kind of trips you, you find out your strengths, you find out your weaknesses, and go from there.
Most underrated herb in your opinion?
Underrated herb
that you sell at the store.
Let's see. That would be a question for my wife because they work the retail store. I'm trying to think. She would have to answer that because they deal with that mostly hands-on. I'm kind of behind the scenes on it. Yeah.
What song or artist that fuels your work days?
I'm old school. I'm a big Levert fan.
Okay.
Always been Gerald Levert fan, old school.
Gerald Levert. I
Yeah.
would have never guessed that.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Dream feature or offering you love to include at the 24th Street hub or the Graham Street location.
Say that again.
A dream feature or offering.
Like a space for them to sit down. Maybe a space similar to this, but I would have them, like if we're preparing an order, I want to be able to sit down and, you know, just run through a screen showing everything that we carry. Like a little space they could sit, drink, maybe snack or something, where they could just wait comfortably, not just like stand around, you know, kind of sit there after they've given us an order to prepare for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A food you always come back to for comfort.
Greens.
Mm.
Yeah.
Any green in particular?
Collard green.
Collard greens.
Yeah.
That's my guy. I like that.
Yeah.
Who inspires your vision of wellness?
I would say my son and my wife, you know, my family really, because of how they went through when I did get sick, their fear of that, you know what I mean? Basically that, you know, there's a lot of changes I made. You got to have something that you love a little bit more than yourself, you know, because they depend on me, so I try to focus on that.
And lastly, if you had to sum up third phase oils in one word, what would it be?
Inspirational. I would say inspirational. Just like we were saying earlier, you know, just to inspire people like us that come from what we come from, that we could grow and build and do things. You know, it just makes it that much more possible when you see somebody that looks like you. You know, if you're looking at somebody who don't come from what you come from, I think the growth seems so far away. So, you know, just to inspire somebody and help somebody who thought they couldn't do it. Because that's what the brother, you know, when he talked to me, he inspired me to see something that I thought possibly I never could have, you know? So it's almost like President Barack becoming, you know, coming up, we never thought that we'd see an African-American president, you know what I mean? So, you know, just on that, just to inspire somebody and push them on and redirect the youth to where you don't have to be forced to do the right thing. You know what I mean? That's the greater part of it. You know, coming up, we didn't think that. We thought our option was the street or sports, you know? And at the most part, somebody that was a barber, and most of the time the barber was the one that was in the streets, you know what I mean? So now I don't want the youth to have to take the long route, you know, just figure it out. It's too much available for us to make a living off of, you know, just to inspire them so when they see you doing it and knowing it looks that much more possible, I would think. So just to inspire, that's it.
Those are beautiful words. Really admire everything you're doing and being a titan in this community. Wood, thank you for being here today. And thank you for everyone who's watching and listening. Just remember to continue to heal naturally and live virally. See you next week.